Hi, this is Jeannie from Four Paws Acupuncture, and I'm happy to announce a new series for this channel, Saints, not Saint Bernards. And this series is all about saints and deities who help and watch over animals, some deities who are said to be animals. This is a non-denominational series, and it is not affiliated with any religious organizations or dogma. It's for informational purposes and entertainment only. Enjoy. The first saint in this series is one of my favorite saints, which is Saint Anthony of Padua. Now, I grew up in an Italian Catholic family, and everyone had statues and pictures of Saint Anthony in their home. I'm no longer Catholic, but I still love Saint Anthony. Saint Anthony of Padua was born in Lisbon, Portugal, and he died in Verona, Italy in 1231. And he died on June 13th, and so his feast day is June 13th. And on this day, it's celebrated by many Italian communities with festivals and parties and things like that. So Saint Anthony was a Franciscan friar, just like Saint Francis of Assisi. He was known as a doctor of the church and a patron of the poor. And just like St. Francis of Assisi, it is believed that he was able to communicate with animals. There's a great legend about St. Anthony and the fish. He had a very sharp temper, and he was taunted by heretics who didn't believe in Christianity about his faith. So he went to the sea and he preached to the fish. And the fish responded by raising their bodies out of the water, and they were listening to him. And when he was finished, he blessed the fish, and they returned to the sea. And many of the heretics saw this, and they converted, but there was one man named Dolittle who mocked him. He wasn't impressed, and he issued a challenge. He said, "Hey, you who hold the fish spellbound, let's see if you can do the same to my mule." So Dolittle starved his mule for 3 days. Nice guy, right? And at the end of that time, Saint Anthony was supposed to stand at the end of the village square and hold a Eucharist, and Dolittle on the other side with a bucket of the mule's favorite food. And if the mule went to Saint Anthony first, the heretic would stop persecuting the Christians. Meanwhile, Saint Anthony also fasted and prayed and probably meditated for 3 days. And on the third day, he said Mass at the local church, and then he went out to the square with a consecrated host. Now, on the other side of the square were the heretics watching, and Dolittle with delicious food in his hand to lure the mule. And of course, on the other side was Saint Anthony, who was talking to the mule. So he asked the mule to come over to him, and when the mule came over, he knelt on both legs and bowed his head. And it's said that Dolittle converted that day. So there you have it. St. Anthony can talk to animals. I have a special affinity for this painting of St. Anthony because I never knew this story until I was visiting Bourges, France, about 20 years ago. And there was a little chapel with a dirt floor. They still had candles lit. There were statues of St. Anthony and a few other saints and deities in there. It was something like stepping back into time. And this painting was there. And I'm not sure if it was the original, but apparently the story of the mule took place there in Bourges. And I never knew that. I thought it was just so cool that I was able to experience something like that and be transported back in time and learn something new about St. Anthony. Probably the most famous thing that St. Anthony is known for, he's the patron saint of lost objects, pets, and property. I grew up all the time, if you lost something, you had to pray to St. Anthony. "Dear St. Anthony, please come around. My fill in the blank is lost. It cannot be found." So he's most famous for helping people find lost objects, property, and pets. So if your pet escapes, call on St. Anthony to help you find it. Ask him to help you find your pet, and ask him to help your pet find you again. You don't have to be Catholic to ask for his help. He talks to animals. He has no dogma. He really doesn't care what religion you are. He's really a wonderful deity and saint to have in your collection of those you ask for help for. And like I said, he's one of my favorites. For more information on holistic pet services, barking Zoom consultations, online classes, and books for people and pets, visit the Four Paws Acupuncture website, fourpawsacupuncture.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a pawsome day.